Yo soy Tony Costa de Sony Pictures España y durante estos próximos 30 minutos estaré moderando la conferencia de prensa. Y si me permites, quería hacerte la primera pregunta y es...
Wonderful, thank you.
Y si me permites,
Sure.
Quería hacerte la primera pregunta y es ¿cómo te sientes?
Ask me the first question.
Quería preguntarte cómo te sientes el ser la pionera en este tipo de experiencia en una conferencia de prensa en 3D.
I think it's unbelievable. It really is. I mean, there was never a time in film history that I could almost shake everybody's hand. Nice to meet you. I think it's so great. I mean, this is the next level in interviews. You know, to be able to sort of be part of you guys. You guys are here with me, I'm here with you. Whoa, am I scaring you guys? I think it's amazing. It's really fun.
Muy bien, pues.
And I'm also a kind of person that uses my hands a lot. So I would think this would make this interview much more interesting.
Genial. Ahora procedemos con las preguntas de los periodistas. Por favor, la primera pregunta. El señor aquí con la camisa azul.
Sí, hola. Buenos días, Los Ángeles, buenas tardes desde Madrid.
Buenos días.
Bueno, lo primero enviar una sincera felicitación a Milla Jovovich por su trabajo en esta nueva entrega de la saga. Es un resultado en 3 dimensiones, es espectacular. Y nos gustaría conocer, ahora que las películas de acción, las películas de terror protagonizadas por actores masculinos, quizá no están teniendo el éxito que se puede esperar de unas grandes superproducciones. Resident Evil ha demostrado ser una franquicia muy sólida, un éxito en España ya demostrado, y nos gustaría saber su opinión acerca del papel de heroína, un papel femenino, de actriz como líder de una saga tan espectacular, si piensa que va a seguir teniendo esa tremenda buena acogida que ha tenido recientemente.
Well, I mean, obviously, I hope so, and it's such an honor, I have to say, to be part of this franchise. You know, as one of the first women to actually be a part of a 4-picture franchise is so unbelievable. And Resident Evil, I think, is very special because it is one of the video games that even the boys want to play Jill Valentine or Claire Redfield, which is pretty crazy to have such popular female action heroes within a video game. So for me, it was just such an honor to be a part of it. And the success that it's had has just made me so happy because I love that people want to see me in the part of Alice. I love that people want to come back to see more of Alice's adventures and see more of the Resident Evil world. It's something that has been part of my life for almost 10 years now. So it's just so fun to keep coming back over and over again and making these movies. And every time we do it, it gets bigger and better and just funner and so much more action. And this one is going to be just like...
El señor de la segunda
fila. Can you translate? Spanish. Hi, second row.
Hola Milla. ¿Te sientes mejor dando la conferencia? ¿Te sientes mejor dando la conferencia de prensa así? ¿Es más cómodo para ti o preferías cuando venías con el primer Resident Evil, viniste a España, fue más divertido para ti? También quiero saber si es distinto rodar en 3D para un actor que rodar...
Of course I would rather come to Spain. I mean, come on. I mean, this is interesting. I'm sure it's much more interesting for you guys than for me because I don't know what's going on when I do all this kind of stuff. But of course I'd rather be there and see you guys and look everybody in their face and you know, be able to connect with my audience in person. You know, I normally do come to Spain to do press for Resident Evil, but this time my schedule's been so busy that, you know, we've had to sort of work this out. But hey, we're breaking new ground today, me and you.
Es diferente rodar en 2D que en 3D, y también quería preguntarte, ¿para cuándo una versión de, como la película de los mercenarios, de Expendables, pero contigo con Los Ángeles de Charlie, por ejemplo.
What? Wait a minute. What has Charlie's Angels got to do with anything? You know, 3D is obviously, no pun intended, it adds a whole new dimension. And for an actor as well as for the audience. And really what's interesting about this whole format and this whole medium for an action movie is that you really have to become so much more part of it. Where in a flat screen, a 2D movie, you can get away with so much. You know, you can kick somebody, you can punch somebody, and you never make contact because you can have distance. Where with 3D, people see the distance. I mean, I guess you guys can probably see the distance between this hand and this hand. So, you know, if I was to, I don't know, how do I do this? If I was to, like, punch myself, you could probably see that there's a lot of distance between my fist and my face. So, you know, I got punched a couple of times on the movie because you need to get right in there. And I mean, the experience draws you in, but also as actors, I mean, we had to really get so close with the action to make it sell, because otherwise you can tell that it's a miss. You can tell that the punch wasn't real. So I think because 3D is really bringing you into the reality of our universe, as an actor, I really had to get into the reality of our universe as well. So it was quite fun because I definitely got a few extra injuries on Resident Evil Afterlife that I'd never experienced on another movie before. Like being punched in the head a couple of times because it was like, get closer, get closer, get closer. And then it was like, it's like, so.
El señor de la camisa azul, ahí a la izquierda.
Hola Milla, soy David González para cineycine.com. Quería hacerte dos preguntas.
Hi.
Hola. La primera, ¿cuál de las 4 películas de Resident Evil ha sido para ti más exigente y dura de rodar? Y la segunda, si Sylvester Stallone te llamara para hacer una posible secuela de Los Mercenarios 2, para actuar como Mercenario 2 pateando los traseros de los malos, ¿qué le dirías? Muchas gracias, Milla.
Wait, with who?
¿Puedes darle el micrófono otra vez?
Sí, vamos a ver. La primera pregunta...
Who wouldn't work with Sylvester Stallone? Are you kidding?
Sí.
Love Sylvester. He's awesome. He's the #1 OG ass kicker. The first question, though, you know, action films are really interactive, if you can, you know, say that. 2D, 3D, whatever D, 5D, it's all the same for us. I mean, definitely on Resident Evil Afterlife, there was a whole new way of working as actors. Like, I couldn't do this kind of stuff because obviously it's distracting. You're like, hey, why is she putting her fingers out at me? So as an actress, I had to be much more still with my hands. You know, I'm very much a person that talks with my hands. But you know, every action film is crazy and so full of challenges and gets so dangerous sometimes. I mean, I had a really bad injury on the second Resident Evil on Apocalypse that I still live with. And, you know, it's so much preparation has to go into the stunts, A, for safety, and B, for, you know, execution so that it looks beautiful and it looks professional and it looks, your form is correct. But, you know, it's always dangerous, and that's kind of the fun of it, too. You know, definitely I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, you might say, because I do love to do the action, and I love to fly, and I love to do the stunts and run down walls and you know, work with, you know, lots of fun, explosive instruments and swords, cutting instruments, hacking, chopping, things like that. I'm good in the kitchen, too. But yeah, all the films have their own challenges because anytime you bring a lot of people into a room that becomes a violent situation, no matter how hard you train and no matter how hard you work on the choreography, accidents happen. So we've had our fair share of accidents on all the movies. I think on Resident Evil Afterlife, it was just a little different because, you know, the accidents really were just a little more intense because I'd never actually gotten punched in the face before, ever. So that was very interesting. But you know what? Hey, that's what makes these movies fun. That's what makes it exciting. Is like you never know what's going to happen. You work, you work, you work. You try and do your best, and then there's always that kind of X factor of, uh-oh, what's going to happen today? Is it going to work? Are we going to be able to like do this without any accidents happening? I mean, man, we were doing these zombie sequences on the roof. Now you've got like 150 extras dressed as zombies running after me. We had accidents. I mean, I was falling. We're on gravel. Zombies are falling like poor people, you know, getting cut up. And it's hard, you know, anytime you bring that large group of people together and tell them to run really fast and be violent, there's always going to be accidents. So it's always a challenge. But hey, I love it.
La señorita de la camisa rosa. Aquí.
Yo quería preguntarte, porque te hemos visto al hilo de esto correr, saltar, explosionar, y hemos visto un montón de piedrecitas, ¿no te habrá dado ninguna?
Oh yeah. Of course, you know, I mean, it was just very slippery. I mean, I've had crazy accidents on these movies. I mean, I remember in Resident Evil Apocalypse, in the second one, I had this scene where I had to run and I was on wires, but I had to jump off this like old refrigerator that was kind of on the ground and kick the Nemesis. And it was slippery, it had been raining, we didn't have enough sticky stuff put on my shoes, and I just literally like slipped off and fell flat on my back and just, like the air is just taken out of you, and I was just lying there kind of shaking and, you know, going, oh my God, is anything broken? Like, yeah, am I okay? And then I realized I could feel everything, and I was like, okay, let's do it again. But, you know, on these movies, things like that are always going to happen. I mean, the amount of times we slipped and fell. I mean, poor Boris Kojo, in this movie, he had to kick open a door. He completely hyperextended his leg. You know, Allie broke one of her fingers on this movie. I mean, you know, we definitely, I mean, we're actors too. Do you know what I mean? We're not professional, like, wow, like martial artists and stunt people. So, of course, you ask an actor to do something, and you just, as an actor, you get into it. You're like, all right, I'm going to run in there, and I'm going to kick open that door, and I'm going to, you know, run over and tackle the guy. And, I mean, of course, like, that's a recipe for disaster. Because we're just, like, going to really pretend like we know what we're doing. And, you know, we've trained and stuff, but in the end, you know, we definitely got beat up.
La señorita de la camiseta blanca.
But hey, you know what? The thing that's amazing, 1 second, lady with the white shirt, let me just finish. You know, what's really amazing about what I do and making these action movies and being an actress in general is, you know, it's crazy. You know, the schedule is wild. It's you know, we work 12, 14-hour days. We train like crazy to do this, but there's never a dull moment. You know, you might get beat up, you might get scratched up, you know, get bruises all over, but it's always so fun. It's like a really violent Disneyland when I go to work.